Good morning, Spiritual Life Center. Welcome to the SLC Sunday Experience. We're so glad you're here with us today. We have Carol Manson in the house. Marie. We want you to know your soul is welcome here, and we're going to sing it.
That's right. You guys ready to sing? Here we go.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be.
In the right place.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be.
In my soul.
Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
My soul is welcome. Your soul are welcome. And all our souls are welcome here.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be.
In my soul.
Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. And I am getting the message
Well, good morning, Reverend Deborah. Good to see you this morning, and your soul is welcome here, as is all of our souls.
And good morning, Reverend James. It's great to be here today. And we greet you in the name of all that is good, all that is holy, and all that is sacred, and in the warm and loving energy of this community, Spiritual Life Center. Spiritual Life Center honors all people worshiping in temples, mosques, churches, stone circles, and the beautiful temples of nature, because we know that there is no space that God does not grace. And if you're with us for the very first time today, either online or here in person, we especially want to welcome you, because we know that you are not here by accident. Every one of us is here by
Divine appointment.
And we're always so excited to come together, and that excitement extends to silencing your electronic devices, and please refrain from flash photography during the service.
Well, before we begin our prayer time today, we're going to put in our prayer consciousness our beloved JG, who made his transition. And at 12:45 today, there'll be a special tribute, and the choir will be singing God Is, and we invite you to be part of that. If you're not able to be here, there is an opportunity to see it online, and I think you can go on YouTube and JG's send-off. So just hold, this individual and all those who have made their transition to the next assignment that Spirit has for them as we connect with the presence and the power and the love of God. And we're reminded that each of us are living and moving and having our beingness in a presence. And this presence is beyond words, but is more real than anything that we can imagine. It is the essence of life itself. We come from this presence, and we shall return to this presence. And we recognize it as the activity of our awareness right here and now. And as we invite this presence to be the activity of our consciousness in thought, word, and deed, we begin to radiate from the depth of our being the truth of who and what we are as expressions of the Spirit of the living God. So we know that we're here for a divine purpose, individually and also as a community. And that purpose, of course, is transforming lives as we can make a positive difference in the world. And we know that JG and so many others have done that, are continuing to do that. And so we say thank you, Divine Spirit, for this soul who has crossed our path. And we say Godspeed as you go on to your next assignment that the Spirit of God has in store for you. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. Well, we have a very important mission at Spiritual Life Center that helps fulfill our purpose of transforming lives and making a positive difference in the world. So let's state our mission together: to transform lives as we love, serve, and remember. And we carry out that mission and fulfill our purpose when we live these 5 basic principles to the best of our ability and make them the activity of our day-to-day life. Again, let's affirm them together. God is absolute good and everywhere present. People are inherently good. Thoughts create our experiences. Prayer and meditation are how we connect with God, and we must take action. Well, one of the things that we do each year between the anniversaries of the death of Dr. Martin Luther King and Mahatma Gandhi is affirm the principles that they taught through what we call the season of nonviolence that many communities and individuals throughout the world are part of. So each week during this season that starts actually last week, but we're starting our contribution today, we have an individual from our community to read one of the principles and to share what that may mean for them. And so today we have our one and only Randy Sizemore, who's going to come forward to share our reading from the Season for Nonviolence today.
Hello, everybody.
Morning.
Today, I will listen with an open heart. Today, I remember that the healing for all violence on the planet is authentic communication. I remember that in every situation and circumstance, I am the ears of God. I release attachment to my opinions and practice listening without judgment. In all my interactions, I open my heart to hear the true message I'm being given, rather than just hearing words. Today, I remember that the voice of God lives in the heart of every person, and I honor all communication as sacred. I listen for that voice in my exchanges with others. Today, I listen with an open heart, grateful for the miracle of language. So after I read that passage, Deborah gave me that maybe a week ago or something, I tried to think of an anecdotal listening story I could tell you. That didn't happen. So instead, I'm going to talk about 3 different ways of listening. And these are all things you know. So I'm just repeating what you know. Pretend I'm mentoring a young person, because this is how I would probably do that. So first, as we all know, listen to others first before you speak and share your opinion. If you do that, I think, then you can say whatever you need to say, what is yours to say, very authentically. All my life, people have said to me, how do you get away with saying that to people? Because I'm pretty loudmouthed and get passionate sometimes, right? But I think I can do that with almost anyone because I listen to the person first, and they know when I speak, I'm coming from my true place. I'm not trying to cause an argument or get anything started. I'm just saying what I believe. So that's the first one. Second, listen to yourself. Inside, you always know the right, maybe I should point here. Inside, you always know the right thing to do or say. It's just sometimes you don't do that, right? You get caught up in what others are saying. You react just to react. And we all know that's not the right answer, right? So listen to yourself and do the right thing. As an example, that proverbial somebody steals your parking space in the parking lot at the mall. We know what sometimes our first instinct involves 4-letter words and fingers, right? But we all know that's not the right answer, right? That person that did that, they're going to go home. They're going to have a great day. You're mad. And you probably are going to stay mad all day over this silly little thing that didn't matter. So just wave at them and bless them and let that one go. And then finally, the third listening for me is listen to music. Yes. Music. When you are feeling sad or angry, all you have to do is put on music and you will feel better. Personally, my mind is still in the 70s and disco. It's what I love. When I was preparing for this, just putting these few notes together, I was getting a little tense, and just because I don't normally do this, I don't like this microphone thing, right? I'd rather just be talking to you. So I was getting a little tense. So I had my 70s on, and some people will know this song. It's "I Love the Nightlife" by Alicia Bridges. I hear that song. There is no way I'm going to be sad or mad or anything. All I'm going to be is happy, and that's what happened. So listen to others. Listen to yourself, and listen to music.
Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. And we also want to thank Shirley Brown for our first Sunday of the month flowers. We appreciate that. They're beautiful. Okay, so we have Notes and Jokes coming up this Friday. Now, Notes and Jokes is a benefit concert, and like I said, it's happening this Friday. We are partnering with Musical Partners in Healthcare, and this is an organization that brings music to medical and hospice settings. Some of you are familiar. How many went to saw Notes and Jokes last year?
Yeah.
So Ann Roach and Sally Sion are actually certified MPIH practitioners, and Loree is getting close to completing her certification, and they are all going to be part of this event. We'll be hearing jokes, at least from Sally and maybe some other people, and this is intended to raise awareness and needed funds for the music ministry, and it's a great musical review. So you can get your tickets online, or you can also get them from the lovely ladies at the Hub. So sign up today, get your ticket, because you will be able to watch it online, but there's nothing like being in the same room with these people. So get your ticket today.
Yes, another live and in color. And also, speaking of other events, on Wednesday, February the 22nd, we will once again offer our Phoenix Rising and Ash Wednesday service. So we mark the start of the Lent together as we release the past with the burning bowl ritual, reaffirm our connection to the divine with chanting and sacred ash to our foreheads, and we each take away our Phoenix Rising coin to remind us of the truth of who and what we really are. So join Reverend Deborah Phillips and Janae Marth for this annual releasing and remembering. And music again will be by our one and only Lurie Shiflett. Well, one of the things that we do at Spiritual Life Center to make a positive difference in the world is find other like-minded organizations that are doing their part to make a contribution to the community. And so our community giving partners group find someone in our community that is doing that. And so today we're going to have an introduction by our one and only Carol Manson to introduce our community partner and what they'll share what they are doing in our community. So here's Carol.
Hey, listen, if you have not been to a performance at Celebration Arts, you need to get up and go to their website and check them out, because we have been enjoying the performances and entertainment there for many, many years, my husband and I, my family and grandkids. And I nominated Celebration Arts, and then we went into COVID, so we had a time where they weren't able to have performances there, so picked it back up and renominated them, and I am so delighted to have Nicole come and tell you more about Celebration Arts. Here she is right now.
Thank you, Carol. Grand Rising, good morning, everyone. My name is Nicole Manker. I am the treasurer and the newly appointed interim executive director at Celebration Arts. At Celebration Arts, we are all extremely grateful for this nomination and the awarding of Spiritual Life Center's community giving program. And we're pleased to deepen our community ties with this special action, which will not only allow us to move forward with programming and productions and promotion, but to do so as mindfully as our mission and vision and organizational goals ask of us. And service to the community. Just a little bit of history. Celebration Arts began as Celebration Dance Company in 1976, which is a fact that I love, and I'll share a little bit why a little bit later. James Wheatley founded it, and he brought it under the umbrella of Celebration Arts about 10 years later. So Celebration Arts has been an active nonprofit for 37 years. Let me make sure I'm all over the place. Celebration Arts, as I mentioned, is a 501c3 nonprofit educational and performance organization providing performing arts training and opportunities to underserved communities, particularly African American residents in the Sacramento metropolitan area. Celebration Arts provides drama, dance, music, productions, classes, allowing aspiring Black artists and communities to experience the performing arts where they are the central subjects, which as an artist, that is a difficult task to really find. And this training serves to develop critical thinking, comprehension, script analysis, character movement studies, as well as presentations based on American history, ancestral heritage, and contemporary times from Black perspectives. This mission brings renewed value to our community's work, social environments, and personal lives. And as a result of receiving this award, I know that we definitely will be able to invest in some more premium marketing and to really expand some of our external and internal branding within our space, upgrade some of our technical equipment so that we can continue enhancing the productions that we do offer the community, and engage some more consultants in development work and consulting with other things. As someone who, and I mentioned the dancing a little bit before, I'm one of about 30 people in the world who are certified to teach Catherine Dunham's technique, if anybody's familiar with that. So I always find it such a wonderful and fabulous fact that it started as a dance company and has evolved into this thing. And my vision when I joined the board was really to bring back all of the arts in the way that James Wheatley really founded the organization. We've been very heavy in theater, and I'm super stoked about being able to keep moving that forward, but I also want to grow in all of the other spaces, both visual and performing arts. So again, On behalf of Celebration Arts, I just want to thank everyone here, and in particular Carol Manson for the nomination, and for the committee that was able to think that the work that we do is worth supporting in various ways, and I just look forward to growing that connection, and we are truly blessed. So thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. And on behalf of Spiritual Life Center, we give you a $1,000 check to support the work that you're doing, and we appreciate your contribution to our community.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
And of course, our reminder that there are many activities that foster transformation in our lives. So check out our weekly small groups and our other offerings, and you can discover the happenings at SLC. If you're here in person, go to the courtyard, look at the bulletin board. Again, chat with the lovely ladies at the hub, or you can go to our website online and find all of the information that you might want.
Well, this time I invite any of our board members and chaplains that are here this morning to please stand. We can acknowledge you and know who you are. Our chaplains are wearing the white stoles. And if you have a prayer need that you would like to help lift up your consciousness to move through, or just want to celebrate something, they're available to pray with you immediately after the service in the courtyard. So we thank them for their contribution to Spiritual Life Center. And our board members do a lot of work behind the scenes that most folks do not see, but they bring their time, their talent, and their skills to keep us moving as a community. And if you have any questions about Spiritual Life Center, they'll be more than happy to answer them as best as they can. And we thank them for their service and contribution to Spiritual Life Center.
We love to greet our newcomers, and in a moment we will ask you to raise your hand. But first, we want you to know there are many ways to become connected at SLC. One way to do that is to fill out the welcome card. The welcome card is available online. You can go to our website, fill the card out, submit it, and we will get back to you. If you're here in person, raise your hand and keep it up long enough for us to find you. We will give you the card, fill it out. You can take it to the courtyard, to the welcome table, where there is a special gift and a very warm welcome.
And if anyone's here for the very first time, we just invite you to raise your hand. We can give you one of those cards. Yes, we have our Nicole, the recipient of our community giving program today. And thank you for your presence here. And like I said, all the work that you're doing. We appreciate you. And we affirm you as an individual for the great person that you are and your organization that you're part of. And we see you and your organization doing great things. So we appreciate you and thank you so much for your presence. With that, we're going to have you just greet a friend or a neighbor in a manner that feels comfortable for you, and just say you are marvelous and glad you are here.
All right. Please stay standing and sing with us our group song, All Good by Ricky Byers. Here we go.
All good, holy, holy. All good, holy, holy. All in my mind, in my heart and my soul. Let me know all is
At this time, I invite us all to speak together our vision statement. Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes home all people and accepts everyone, no exceptions, weaving ancient spiritual traditions with emerging wisdom. We cultivate a spiritual deepening with the divine, each other, and our planet. And we're going to sing this beautiful chant together. Simply, I am remembering who I am.
I invite you to take a nice deep breath. Settle into your chair.
I am remembering who I am. 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 I am remembering who I am.
I remember. I remember. Become quiet now and turn within. Open your heart. Float with the music. And daydream with me. Allow your consciousness to drift high, high up into the sky. And settle on a cloud. Cradled in the sparkling mist of the cloud, you are safe and warm. A blush of light flickers at the center of your chest. And as you take a breath, the light grows into a small ball. With another breath and then another, your light glows and glows until it fills your whole body. With each breath, into your torso, your legs, your arms, your neck, and your head. Your cloud of light curves around you in a protective embrace. And as you sink into this cushy environment, think about something that may be concerning you at the moment. sorrow, or fear. And then gather that into your hand. And now hold that hand out in front of you and offer this prayer. Oh, Holy Spirit, take fear and sorrow from me. Transmute it into courage. Transmute it into strength. Transmute it into understanding. Transmute it into joy. Transmute it into love. Holy incandescence moves through you, healing you, transforming sorrow and fear into courage, strength, understanding, joy, love, in a moment of silence. You are purified. You are one holy radiance. Turning your attention to the earth below you, your home, you offer yet another prayer. O Holy Spirit, take sorrow and fear from the earth. Transmute it into courage. Transmute it into strength. Transmute it into understanding. Transmute it into joy. Transmute it into love. As you extend your light, the cloud shimmers. Rays and waves of light flow down, immersing each country, every ocean, all beings, plants, the very atoms of the earth. Sorrow and fear dissolve, transmuted into courage, strength, understanding, joy, and love in the silence. Through your prayer, you become both healed and healer. In this moment, you are fully aware of who you have come here to be. You know that as divine order flows through you, so it flows into the world. Take a breath or two as you return to your physical body and receive this blessing. Oh, my beloved, the power of your words, your prayer, is unlimited. To pray is to love. By your words, you transmute sorrow and fear. By your words, you transform yourself and you are part of the world. By your prayer, you know oneness. By your words, you become the essence of love. And by your prayer, you remember who you really are. Remember this, always.
prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Be careful what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer. My words are prayers, and I am always praying. My words are prayers. I'm careful what I'm saying. I seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer. My life's a prayer, and I am always praying. My life's a prayer. I'm careful what I'm saying. I choose a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and I know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer. My life's a prayer, and I am always praying. My life's a prayer. I'm careful what I'm saying. I choose a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and I know that my God is always there. And I know that my God is there. And every thought becomes a
Thank you, Carol, for that reminder. And speaking of prayers, I recall a story about a journalist. And this journalist was assigned to the Jerusalem bureau of his newspaper. And he got an apartment that was overlooking what they call the Wailing Wall. And after several weeks of being there, whenever he looked down at the wall, he saw a mature man, a Jewish man who was praying vigorously. And the journalist wondered, well, whether there was a possible story there. So he went down to the wall, and he introduced himself to the man. He said, my name is so-and-so. I work for this newspaper. And I see that you come here every day to the wall. And I'm curious, what are you praying for? And the elderly man said, well, what am I praying for? Well, in the morning, I pray for world peace. And then I pray for the brotherhood of humankind. And then I go home and I have a glass of tea and I come back and I pray to the wall for the eradication of disease and illnesses from all of the earth. And the journalist was nevertheless, he was really taken in by this man's sincerity, this man's persistence. And he said, you mean you have been coming to this wall every day to pray for these things? And the man said, yes. And he was asked then, how long have you been coming to the wall and praying for all these things to happen? And the man said, as he reflected a moment, well, it's how long? Well, maybe 20, maybe 25 years. And the journalist was amazed. And he finally asked him, how does it feel to come every day and pray for over 20 years for these things? And the man said, how does it feel? And this is a rough translation. He said, it feels like I'm talking to a freaking wall. Now, we don't want our prayers to feel like that. We don't want our prayers to feel like we're talking to an unresponsive wall, or that we're praying to some entity or some power somewhere other than where we are. But we know that in our teachings that the prayer is not a mere supplication. It is not begging and wailing or gnashing of teeth or pleading or screaming loud, trying to get God to be different. No. And I always say that, imagine if somebody was praying and everybody had a different prayer to God for God to be different, we'd have a chaotic universe. You know, it's not like that. We're not dropping to our knees or somehow hoping or sweating or gyrating or trying to get the universe to shift for us. No, our highest prayer is not a supplication. Nor is our highest prayer, getting in touch with anything beyond who we are. We want to get in touch with the awareness that we already have what we're praying for. It's called be and then having. We want to be a certain way. I don't know if you watched this movie years ago. It was about Austin Powers. I don't know if they watched it. It's a different, And he had it, he'd just say, yeah, baby. Anyway. And he would say, oh, behave. But he's really talking about be and then have. It's really touching a state of being. In that state of being, you realize and we realize that we have already what we're looking for. If we get into that particular state, and that state unfolds as our life and ultimately as our world. So we're not trying to change the world externally, which so many people try to do. We're not trying to change another person, which so many people feel is their duty to do. We are touching a state of being. In other words, in order for us to really have anything in our world, I was sharing the other day with a group online that, you got to be it first, and then you see it. You have to be it before you see it. There was a young man who I knew years ago had been struggling with trying to find his purpose in life. And he kind of felt lost and unfulfilled. So he started out, to do what he thought God was supposed to do for him. And he started bargaining with God. Well, God, if you just give me my clarity and my purpose, then I'll do X, Y, and Z. And that was his prayer. However, after several months of this kind of prayer, there was no change. He was really kind of the same person and same results. So somehow he decided to act as if he already had the answers that he sought. And he took very small steps every day towards what he sensed were his dreams and his aspirations, even if he was unsure of the outcome. And that young man found that the more he began to shape his awareness and act with that purpose as if it's already done, his path became clearer. Then seemingly out of the blue, he discovered his true passion, discovered his true calling in his life. Oftentimes our prayers are weak because the prayer is about negotiating what we think we want from God. That we want what we want when we want it, but our highest prayer is about shifting our awareness, shifting our consciousness, shifting our way of being. And when we have a shift in consciousness, seeming miracles seem to happen. They happen because we have come outside of our present paradigm, which is a fancy word, our current way of thinking. And that's the reason I believe that Ralph Waldo Emerson said many years ago that prayer is the contemplation of the facts of life from the highest point of view. And I think this is particularly relevant when we go through challenges in our life and we have difficulties. Contrary to popular belief, for many people who are in New Thought Ancient Wisdom, we're not here to go through life challenge-free. It doesn't happen like that. But when we're faced with a challenge or a difficulty or a setback or a disappointment, when we see it from the highest point of view, we realize that the challenges show up to activate the hidden capacities and the hidden capabilities that are seeking to emerge through us. To set in motion the highest prayer, we must ask ourselves several questions. What gift of growth is this challenge offering me? How can this challenge help me evolve my soul? Because everything in life is either to be learned or enjoyed or learned from. I think our highest prayer causes us to lean into the challenges that we face and see these challenges as evolutionary triggers for us to come up higher. Like a grain of sand in an oyster, we see that a pearl is created. We are further moved to seeing things from the highest point of view or experience our highest prayer when we ask ourselves empowering questions. We want to ask questions like, what is God's idea of itself as my life right now? What expression of God is seeking to express in us and me right now? And I think when we ask questions like that, we begin to get a glimpse, we get insights, we get signs, and we get a response. And I think we activate the vibration of our highest prayer whenever we ask empowering questions. But oftentimes we cut off that vibration whenever we ask what I call disempowering questions like, why me? What's wrong? Who's to blame? How can this get any worse in my life? And I always say, never ask that question. Because the universe will look up and take notice and they'll give you all kinds of ways it'll get worse. Because we get answers depending upon the quality of the questions that we ask. We ask, how can this get any worse? And yes, we'll get answers. The low part of our being will look for and find everything that will make it worse because we're separated in our own minds from the all-knowing, solution-oriented presence we call God. So we end up using the statement, ask and you shall receive, not in the highest and best way, but from a way that does lead us to not what we really want. But empowering questions. And our highest prayer avails us to opportunities. It avails us to possibilities and to potentials that are always around us. So when we have a so-called problem, we realize that it's an opportunity to grow so that we may become more and never less than our true self. This is Black History Month this month, and oftentimes I'll read some aspect of history that I may not know about, and I didn't have to do that this time because one of my congregants gave me an article about a book that really, caught my attention. And it got my attention so much I decided to buy the book on Kindle so I could start reading it right away. Anyway, here's the synopsis of the book as I'm still reading it. There's a Sergeant Isaac Woodard, and had just completed 3 years of tour in a segregated unit in the U.S. Army. And he boarded a Greyhound bus, and this was Augusta, Georgia, and that was going to take him home. But he had a heated exchange with the bus driver, and he was forcibly removed from the bus as he stopped in this town called Batesburg, South Carolina. And later he was beaten and blinded by the town's police chief. And this was in 1946. And civil rights prosecutions around that time were pretty much unheard of. But Harry Truman was the president at the time, insisted that his attorney general bring the charges against this police chief. And the police chief was tried by a jury of all of his peers in a courtroom in South Carolina, I think it was. And there was a particular judge, which is really the whole book centers around, named Judge J. Wades Waring. And there was little evidence, or little doubt, I should say, about the guilt of this man. It was like overwhelming evidence. But he was acquitted. And Judge Waring had taken for granted, his privilege that he had living in the South during that time, in the segregated South. But something within him triggered a transformation. It was the blinding of that man, Woodard, forced him to see differently. Something within him transformed. And he began to re-examine his assumptions. He delved into the law, and he was awakened to the vast system of inequality surrounding him. And what he did is start taking different action. He wrote several landmark civil rights decisions in the years that followed that particular event. And there was one particular decision that he wrote in 1951. And it was a key decision, and it was the dissent. He was on the losing side of a case. But that dissent that he wrote would become the model for the Supreme Court's opinion in Brown versus Board of Education. But as I was looking at some of that work, I believe that Judge Waring asked empowering questions that challenged the status quo, that made him take a second look of his own beliefs. He re-examined his values, and he lived according to the highest and best of what he knew himself to be as an expression of the presence of God. Anyway, it's a pretty fascinating read if you're into history and law and stuff like that I read from time to time. And it's called The Blinding of Sergeant Woodard and the Awakening of President Harry Truman and Judge Wade's Waring. And it's written by a guy named Richard Gergel. Anyway, the Judge Waters broke out the box of limited thinking. Remember, we're talking about our thoughts or prayers. And we always want to expand our thinking, to go beyond the rules that sometimes govern our society. Many people, I think, are living in small box consciousness. And that requires a small box vaccine in order to eliminate small box living. And I think by asking empowering questions, a high prayer practice initiates a shift in our awareness, a shift in our consciousness. And miracles happen outside of our present paradigm of thinking. And that's why Albert Einstein said you can never solve a problem on the level of the thinking that created the problem in the first place. We have to see beyond the problem, beyond the box of the problem. So we ask empowering questions. That's where the high prayer answers are. That's where the juice is. And asking empowering questions helps us follow the scriptural reference that says, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. I think that's what Judge Waring did. He didn't conform to the society. He began to ask empowering, difficult questions. So sometimes when we see the headlines on the internet or in the news that point out about how bad things are, our highest prayer is to ask, what is my assignment to help me see from the highest point of view? How can I lift my awareness? How can I see the truth behind the appearance? How can I see the possibilities and hold the space within my awareness, my consciousness? And then as a community, we realize that the news headlines inform us how to direct our prayers, our thinking, in order to transform us so we can be the change that we want to see in the world. Realizing that what we see in the outer world is nothing more than the outpicturing of the group soul, the group consciousness. So rather than change the external, which many people try to do, which would be like praying to an unresponsive wall, we change ourselves. We shift our thinking. And then we act in alignment with the consciousness that we have at that moment so that we may receive and be available to what seems to be a miracle. And when we touch that state over and over again, something happens. Sometimes I talk with people who had a brilliant experience or manifestation or answered prayer. And they would talk about what happens just before that suddenly the worries seem to disappear. The trying to figure it out with our human mind begins to end. And all they're doing and trying to make it happen, they stopped that. Instead, there was an awareness that took place. They were in the midst of a prayer, and suddenly they knew that all was well. that everything was going to be okay, and they released and they let go. And then shortly after that, maybe the demonstration happened. Maybe they were looking for a job and they got it. They wanted some sort of change in their physical body, and it began to operate a little better. There was clarity in their relationship if there was turmoil. There was some kind of insight that happened. And sometimes, mistakenly, we may think that those things that they demonstrated were the answered prayer. But that's not where the prayer was answered. The real answered prayer was in the moment of clarity, that moment of connection, that moment of feeling and sensing that the power and the presence and the love of God was the activity of their awareness, their consciousness. That was the moment. Something changed within them. So anyway, I always like to leave something practical that we can use to get into the highest prayer strategy. So I think there's one strategy that I found that really has been helpful to me. It might be helpful to you. Give up complaining about life. If we're complaining about life, we're seeing through a glass darkly. We cannot see the face of God. We cannot see the possibilities. You know, the chronic complainer never gets the experience of the expanding good, which we call heaven, because they're not around long enough for the spiritual demonstration to happen. They may be uncomfortable when things are going well. That vibration may be a little bit too high for them. That's why they move around trying to find something to complain about. I don't know if you know people about that. Everywhere they go, they find something to complain. Yet we experience the highest prayer when we enter heaven, which is expanding good, realizing it's a state of our own mind. And we bring it with us. We hang out in it. We go to God. We stand in a God idea till it clothes itself and becomes visible in our life. Those who do not go to God for God, sometimes they fight and they complain and they become the very agents of the thing that they do not want. Because whatever we give our energy to, we begin to create more of that in our life. You know, they believe that life is hard and that it's over, that there are limited opportunities in life. There's not enough good to go around. That vibration is static on the line. And we can't hear or receive the guidance that the Spirit of God has for us. And we may be able to quote all kinds of spiritual stuff. You know, life is good. God is everywhere present. I'm an expression of God. But when they get in the company of their people, their peeps, their core belief will come up. They'll talk about lack and limitation and then wonder why all their prayers they've been uttering are not revealing themselves. We want our prayers to be our old beliefs undoing. This is what the highest prayer is all about. Not trying to change the outer. It's always about us. So that the will of God, the vibration of God, the guidance of God can come through and as us. And when we start doing this, the surface mind might start out by saying, what's happening? They praying and meditating again. They're going to that workshop now to try to change their mind. We got to try to stop them before they get too far. Let's distract them. But when our high prayer vibration is really at that level, we simply get thee behind me crazy thoughts. That's what they'll say. You know, when they say, get behind me, Satan, that means crazy thoughts. So we say, get away from me. And we eliminate the static that drowns out the voice of God, the energy of God. We eliminate any sense of separation that we think is between us and this all-knowing presence, and we celebrate the truth that liberates us and sets us free. And I think when we do that, we are in tune with being in our highest prayer. Peace and blessings to you. Just a reminder then, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to have a special tribute. What are we calling our JG's send-off? At 12:45, the choir is going to sing. I think God Is, one of his favorite songs. And next week I'll be back, head into kind of Valentine's time, the greatest love. So we invite you to be part of that experience next week. And for those who are online that are watching, we just invite you to support Spiritual Life Center with your gift or your offering. And you can contact Spiritual Life Center and give your gift by going to your phone and what they say, what is it that, send a text. Yes, send a text. I don't know why, I'm thinking about a check. Send a text to SLC Love to 44321. Write SLC Love and send it to 44321, and it'll give you the page in which you can give to Spiritual Life Center. Or you can go to our website, slcworld.org, and you can donate in other ways, including by mail. For those who are present today, we invite you to take your gift or your love offering and just know that as you give, that you're in the flow of a principle that says whatever you give out comes back. And if you've given already by mail or electronic funds transfer, know that you're in the flow that reminds us that, we can never outgive God. And not only do you benefit Spiritual Life Center, but you also benefit yourself as the giver. So with that, I invite you to join in as we affirm our offertory blessing together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God.
Here we go now. Accent to be more positive, y'all. You got to accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative and latch on to that affirmative, but don't you mess with Mr. In Between. You got to spread joy up to the maximum and bring gloom down to the minimum and have faith or pandemonium liable to walk upon the scene. To illustrate my last remark, Jonah in the whale, Noah in the ark. What did they do just when everything looked so dark? Man, they said you got to accent, to positive and eliminate the negative and hang on to that affirmative, but don't you mess with Mr. In Between. To illustrate my last remark, Jonah in the whale, Noah in that old ark. What did they do just when everything looked so dark? Man, they said we've got to accent, to wait the positive and eliminate the negative and hang on to that affirmative, but don't you mess with Mr. In Between. Yes, to illustrate my last remark, Jonah in the whale, Noah in the ark. What did they do just when everything looked so dark? Man, they said we've got to accent, to wake the positive and eliminate the negative and hang on to that affirmative, but don't mess with Mr. In Between. Oh, no, don't mess. Ooh, child, I said don't you mess. You better not mess. Don't mess with Mr. In Between. Don't mess with Mr. In Between.
Carol Manson.
They're gonna put me out of here.
Anson can do it. Well, we take this time to bless those who have supported Spiritual Life Center with their gift or offering, knowing He's going to bless the giver as well as the receiver, and help us provide a place for those who are looking to move from where they are to where they can be when they're seen from the highest and best. And we bless those who have left their prayers in the prayer box today, or left their prayers throughout the week into the prayer box. For we recognize and know that we all have challenges and difficulties and setbacks and disappointments in life. But there is always a divine and perfect answer. And we remember that there's a place of energy, a vibration, a presence we call God that has the answer even before we know what the prayer is that we need to supply or write out or utter in any way, shape, or form. As that statement goes in the scripture, before they call, I already have answered them. For it all-knowing presence has the answer to every seeming challenge, and we can rest assured that if we make it the activity of our awareness and make the transformation to see from that highest point of view, then we have a seeming miracle happen where we see the revelation. And the answer may come from a place that we never thought of or be in a manner that we never considered. But we know that this presence always brings forth the right and perfect answer for us. So we go forth today recognizing this presence, that we are one with it. And as we are one with it, everything unfolds in this right and perfect way. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. So with that, let us join in as we affirm our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is. I am, and all is well. Now let's sing our peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Let it begin with me.
Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator. Family all are we.
Family all are we.
Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now.
Let this be the moment.
With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Let it begin with me. Thank you.
I think have a great day and a great week.
Speaking in tongues up here. I said,